Okay, so we started, and I have the beautiful Christel Crawford with me from Canada. Good morning, Cristel.
Good morning.
Good morning. And I'm still in Italy recording this, having this chat with Cristel. Cristel is, I'm going to let you tell us who are you and what are you doing in life right now?
Well, I'm an Access Consciousness Certified Facilitator as my primary thing. I also, I'm an expansionist for a lot of other businesses. So I work with a lot of businesses and my own. And my primary thing is really creating a difference in people's lives where they can get out of their own way and create the life for the business that they really desire to create. I'd say I do that pretty much every day, 24/7.
Wow. That sounds, to me, it sounds beautiful, really. And one of my questions is just popping up, did you, when did you start working like this? I mean, your choice is to start working online because, I don't know, you didn't always work online, did you?
Oh, no. In fact, that probably started about 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago. And I was working for I was a new certified facilitator, and I was working with another certified facilitator in her business, sort of working for her, and just started seeing what was possible. And the online business thing, coaching model, came from really a desire to have the flexibility that I wanted, because I was traveling a lot, and I still do, 4 classes, 2 classes. And so it just didn't work for me to have a 9 to 5-ish or even an evening job where I was tied to a brick and mortar institution. So I started really asking what it would take to have a business that allowed me that flexibility. And then I really just jumped. And that is sort of how I live my life. I don't have a net, and I just sort of jump and I see what's possible. And I end up flying, which is really, really cool.
Yeah, it is. It's really cool. I mean, I perceive the energy of it and also the possibility, because I mean, a few years that you're talking about, many of us might, be there for more years, more time, and we don't really get into it for different reasons, or should we call them judgment barriers? I mean, you, for example, if you're quite good on the online things. I mean, you're quite tech, or you're not?
Well, I am now, but I'm self-taught. Like, I didn't start with a bunch of skills. I mean, I started out with like basic skills. I knew how to open a Word document, and I knew there was Facebook and I could post. But I had to learn every single thing, which was part of the reason I worked for someone else for a while, because I thought, well, I'll learn. Part of what will help me learn is, working for her and doing her things and learning all the systems that she uses. But even after that, I had to, the online world and what's required to have an online business is pretty extensive. And as you get bigger and you grow, then you require more tools and more deftness with those tools. So it's just sort of this, I don't know what that is in me. I just have this drive to do whatever it takes to have what I want. And I don't know if I ever really fully acknowledged that, till recently.
Yeah.
But, when I started this, I was 40. Probably 39. Anyway, it was close up there. And I'd been through 2 marriages, and I'd left 2 husbands. And that in and of itself took a lot of stuff, a lot of balls, I guess. And I'd been through 3 careers and 18 jobs and 22 moves. And there was a lot of practice choosing that I didn't know I was practiced at, and that contributed to what I was able to choose later. And, a lot of times we look at all that stuff in our life as something that's wrong. But there's this question we use in Access, which is, what's right about me I'm not getting? And I realize after, being able to create this as quickly as I have, and as well as I have, and to continue doing it, like, there was a lot of what was right about me that I wasn't getting.
That you discovered.
Yeah, that I discovered.
Did you ask the question, what's right about me that I'm not getting, or also what's wrong about me that I'm not getting? Which one did you choose?
Oh, no, I was way more into what was wrong with me. Way more interested in that, because, we're taught that if you find out what's wrong with you, then you can fix it.
Yeah, then you have to fix it. So what's the difference there of fixing and choosing, being?
Yeah, the difference, well, there's so much. To go first of all,
what did you discover about, did you used to fix things?
I used to think I was fixing things. And so actually fixing things is a bit of a myth because it's based on a lie. And the lie is that you're broken. And so the thing about going in to find what's wrong with you is that you can never get out. It's a trap. You can never get out of it because it's based on a lie in the first place. It's based on a lie that there ever could be something wrong with you. Now that one thing could take years to work through someone's life, right? Because that's really kind of going against a really fundamental premise that that you could have something wrong with you. So that's why in Access we give you all these tools. What's right about me? I'm not getting. Interesting point of view. I have this point of view, in an effort to kind of untangle the very, very solid lump that we've become because we bought into all of these different microcosmic lies about the stuff that we think is flawed about us that we have to fix. So I mean, that could be a whole, 2 hours.
It's not one universe, it's many universes. But one question that comes up in me, and it's of course not a personal question, but it is. So we go into the thing about that there's something wrong with you. How much is that actually about projections?
I think
and going into other people's realities. I mean, for me, it's like a constant question, right? But it seems like it's really, really easy to, depending on, the day and what you're going through, to actually believe that is something, not only something wrong with you, but it could be also just a lack of energy, the lack of, can I do this? Lack of energy to actually get things done, to also be practical, to choose. How much is that depending on that you're actually going into other people's realities? I mean, that also have potency?
Yeah, I think again, it's probably 18,000 different things. One of the things that I got from Access Consciousness that is changing my life is to never go to conclusion about why something. And because
I'm still trying to find it out, right?
Well, everybody does. We all do that, right? We're trying to figure out. It's that thing. Like if we figure out the why, then we can change it. But that's the lie. And so the gift of Access has been for me to learn and practice the muscle of two things. One, getting that I'm aware. Now that sounds really simple. Yeah, of course you're aware. You're aware. Okay, whatever. No, you're aware. And 98% of everything. Actually, it's more like 100%. But we say 98% just to leave a little room for doubt of what goes on inside of you that you feel, that you think, that you are ruminating about, that you're worrying about isn't yours. So yes.
So when you find that out, when you have the awareness that, okay, awareness that it's light, that it creates more space, then what? You're still, if you go, then what? You're still trying to find the answer.
Well, you could be, or you could just choose. And this is, I think, is something we're not practiced at all. I mean, Gary Douglas says this all the time. He's like, you guys aren't practiced in choosing. You don't know how to do that. We're not taught how to do that. We're actually taught how to, fit into boxes and do our thing and do that, which a lot of us rebel against. And so some of us are really, we're like, screw the system, and we go off and we do our own thing anyway. But we're still trying in some way to fit and win and benefit and not lose. And that we could talk about in Access. There's the contextual reality where you have context for your choices. You have context for what's going on. It's like we try to figure out what's going on within the context of what we already know. But what's actually true is this non-contextual reality. And that's outside of everything that we know. And to access that, to be able to create your life from that, you have to be willing to know that you're aware and ask a question about it. So like when you have no motivation, for example, or when you're tired, there's 4 questions that we say play with. Hey, what is this? What can I do with it? Can I change it? And if so, how can I change it? Instead of, oh, I wonder why I'm tired. Oh, I don't think I can do this. And instead we go down this rabbit hole of like into the conclusions that don't actually allow you to be aware or give you the power and the potency that you actually have to change things, to choose something else, to create a reality that actually works for you. And that's like the biggest gift of Access Consciousness. That's what's enabled me to totally change my life.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I get that too. I mean, I have many, many years of different stuff that I've been doing since maybe beginning of the 90s, and you name it, like a lot of us. And I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean anything. You can make it significant, but you can also be grateful for whatever it has given you. What Access has given me is actually these tools of changing something instantly, in the moment, wherever I am, if I'm willing to. Because there are situations where I see that I'm not willing to ask a question, I'm not willing to do or be anything that, you know, could create a better future for me. But the thing is also in that I am aware of that I'm not willing.
Yeah.
So that also helps me of, okay, I can, you know, hug myself and I can say, okay, I'm just going to stay in this shit for a while, because apparently I like staying in the shit. And then, and then maybe I can, you know, then usually it changes more quickly by me just hugging myself, just say, okay, stay in the shit if you like it. And then it changes. So yeah, Access Consciousness is, has changed my life very quickly. And since I am quite curious, that's fine. But I also realized that I had a lot of barriers about making what I had done earlier significant, that, you know, I should already know this, and making comparisons and whatever Access Consciousness is or is not. Like I had one friend today, she says something about when we were speaking about Access, and she says, well, it sounds like a philosophy, something that, a technique or something. What do you have something to say about that?
Yeah, I get it. You know, my mom is a whole episode unto herself, but she said to me the other day, we don't talk that often, but she said to me the other day, she's like, well, a lot of the stuff you say to me is kind of airy-fairy. She's like, you know, I want something practical, like go fill out a form or go dig a hole. So I'm sort of a smart ass, and I told her to go dig a hole and lie in it, because she didn't want to get out anymore. Well, I didn't say until she didn't want to get out anymore. Actually, until she got a different awareness, because she doesn't want to live. But see, so the thing about Access being a technique is interesting. What I find is it is whatever it is you want to use it for. And what I said the other day was I forget which video I was doing, but I was like, you can use it for whatever you want. You can use it to, you know, change your relationship, have more money, get a better and bigger house, have a bigger business, be happy. Or you can use it to create a totally different reality. And or you can use it to go after total awareness. I find a lot of people aren't really interested in total awareness. You know, it's like total awareness really requires that you let go of all your reference points and you really function from question, because you never know exactly what you're aware of. You can just get a sense of it. And, you know, so that's not everybody's ask. But it basically, you can use it for whatever it is you want to create. And from that point of view, I'd say it's a very pragmatic toolbox, but it's very different. The tools don't look like the ones you're given right off the hop, right? They look different. And if you use them, I've never talked to one person that when they use the tool, it doesn't create change.
Yeah, it's like it's like a modern, a very modern and fun and weird and fun way to actually, for anybody, because it doesn't require so much. It requires that, as you said, you use the tools, you ask the questions, and well, there are a lot of other things too in Access, right? With Access bars, energetic treatments, and whatever. So you can read all about that on the accessconsciousness.com site if you would like to know more. But I'm just going to change a little bit and jump into some other themes here. And one thing that caught my eye, I have two things that I would like to speak to you about, and let's see if we can fit them all in this chat, or otherwise I have to chat to you again. And yeah, there's so much that we could talk about. Okay, so this came up for me, and this could be any person in the world that goes through any dramatic situation. So a dramatic situation, that could be anything. For me, it was the earthquake. So without making that, you know, that's now the past, because it's like 1.5 years ago. An earthquake or a tsunami or whatever, like when nature does her thing, it's quite an amazing energy. And I say amazing because it is an amazing energy, and I can say that because I'm still here, I'm alive. So we lived it through. And the other stuff of, you know, not having homes and villages and jobs and whatever, the whole infrastructure that is just destroyed, that's another discussion. And of course, from that, we can create something new. There's a lot of things to say about this, depending on who you are and where you are. What caught my eye was when I read something on your site, and it's about turning things up. And in Access, this is used many times. Turn it up, turn it up. And for me, it got me into some awareness about being in that immense, amazing energy, which for me, should I say, it was quite easy. I don't know if easy is the word, but it was, you know, it was almost easier to be and coming out of the earthquake and the time after of just being in that bubble of energy, so to speak. And then we have the post moment, which is now, which is far more difficult, so to speak. It's another energy, and that, at least for me, tends to get me more down, to lose energy, to not be so. What is this? Can you say something about this? And maybe this is applicable for, you know, a lot of situations. Are we not, my question is, am I not acknowledging something here? What is it that I'm not willing to acknowledge?
Yeah, what are you aware of? That is one of the key questions, especially when your body is tired or you're picking up on things that you know you're not you, or you can't really function the way that you do, that you know you can. You always got to ask, what am I aware of? But here's the thing about awareness is that until you acknowledge what's actually true, what's actually going on, and you don't have to have words for it or be able to validate it to anybody or anything. It's just got to energetically match, right? It's like, oh, I'm aware of that body of energies. So, I mean, in the wake of an earthquake, I've never been in a natural disaster. I don't know a lot about that particular thing, but I can imagine that, you know, after something happens, I mean, you've got the aftermath, you've got the rebuilding, you've got all the things that are going on. There's a lot going on. You know, if a lot of people lost everything, can you imagine how many different people's realities you're tapping into about whether or not it's possible to rebuild or not possible to rebuild, or they don't want to go on, or they're just tired, right? If you're feeling tired and you're psychic, you've got to ask what you're aware of. And otherwise, you're just going to think it's yours and think you're messed up, and that's going to be not true. And so when you function from the thing that's not true, you can't change it. And so that's what I would ask. What are you aware of?
Well, what comes up for me is not so much about being tired. I might have used that word. It's more about aware of being a bit lost, of not knowing where to turn, not knowing where to start, what to create, it's a kind of an impotence, or that kind of So yeah.
I would ask, does that belong to you?
No. Okay.
That right there, that one question is a life changer if you're willing to use it and you're willing to get your awareness from it. It doesn't belong to you. And here's something, I mean, this is such a basic principle of access, a piece of information, but it's that we function from the awareness of infinite being, right? We are infinite beings. And if you don't know if you're an infinite being, you can literally, you know, get aware of your body, but then go right outside your body and then keep going until you see if you can find an edge of you anywhere. Do you end? And if you don't, you're an infinite being. And so the question is, would an infinite being be tired? Would an infinite being feel impotent? Would an infinite being have no motivation? And whenever I ask that, I get no's to all of that. Infinite being just bees, right?
Yeah.
So if you're an infinite being, and you're feeling that, does it belong to you? No. Okay. So then it's like, well, then what, right? Then what? Then if it doesn't belong to you, and
then what?
Exactly. Then it's the choosing to create. It's the actually going, okay, what would I like to choose? If I could choose anything, where could I start with this? And a lot of us go, well, I don't know. And then that's another place where we disempower ourselves. We're like, we invalidate our very being with I don't know constantly. And so what I use with that is like, okay, so if I did know, what would it be? I just start flipping every single thing that disempowers me.
Can you repeat that last thing you said? What if I did know, what would it be?
Yep.
Yeah.
If I wasn't confused, what would I know?
Yeah. Oops. Somebody came in the door.
And this is where access becomes the most pragmatic thing on the planet, actually. Because it takes you out of, I don't know, out of confusion, out of those things that we actually use to disempower ourselves. And it empowers you with you. Because you do know, you can. You actually have an awareness that exceeds most people's on the planet. You have capacities that you haven't even tapped into yet. And learning how to empower yourself with what you already know, with what you are already capable of, is, I think, is the practice.
Well, this is something that also, we said that in the beginning, right? That is not very often taught to, in schools or whatever, or it's not actually spoken about also in other areas of life. That could be yoga classes, that could be meditation, that could be, this is quite direct question to our knowing and trusting something that's not cognitive.
Trusting you.
Trusting me, yeah.
And you're not cognitive. You're a being, and beings aren't cognitive. And this is where with I don't know, and I'm not sure, and I'm confused, and I don't have motivation, we take ourselves out of actually being us, who does know, who can choose and can create. But we can't create from that space of I don't know. And that's what we do. We do that to ourselves, but we don't even know we're doing it. It's just kind of automatic. And the thing about turning that around and going, well, what do I know, is that you have to be willing to trust you. You have to be willing to fuck it up. You have to be willing to make mistakes. You have to be willing to be judged by other people who might, look at your choices and judge them. And those are all willingnesses we typically don't realize we have to be willing to have and avoid. In reality, they're not relevant, but we've made them so relevant that we stop ourselves with them. And I would say that's the thing. That's the practice of going beyond what we've made relevant into the unknown of what we know.
The unknown of what we know. I love that one. I love that one. So what, if you could say anything now, inspiration about your own choices and what you use. Also another question, you're standing there and you're trusting your own knowing, if I knew, what would I choose? And also in situations where you kind of just, took off all your clothes and all your past experience, whatever. I mean, you might have your experience, your schools, your jobs, whatever you did in life, that's still there in a way. But it's kind of like you have just the white sheet in front of you. What question would you ask?
Where can I start?
If you would like to, create your life or create a business or, to get in also to this practical way of living, of creating a future.
Yeah, it really is. Where can I start? I mean, when I'm faced with wanting to change everything, which is kind of all the time, even when it's good, I will always want more. Sometimes I'll do something really practical, like I'll make a big list and I'll go, okay, I want to change this. I want to change this. This is changing this year. So where can I start? What's the first thing that I can start changing right away? And I'll just start on something, I think one of the things I used to do with myself in the desire to change everything is I would go into overwhelm, which is another thing that we use to take ourselves out of choice. And now instead of choosing overwhelm, I just go, okay, I want to change everything.
Could you stop there a moment? So being overwhelmed, gets you out of choosing more?
Yeah, it's another one of those things that we use to disempower ourselves from actually choosing. See, the thing about choosing to create your life is nobody can validate it for you. Nobody can tell you you're doing it right. Nobody, not your best friend, not your partner, nobody can. And so what I'm finding the biggest practice is not just self-validating, but knowing that no matter what I choose, you know, I'm going to get awareness. That's one of the things we talk about in Access is choice creates awareness. So there is no wasted choice if I got awareness from it. And there's no wrong choice. There's only choices that create or decay my future. And even if I make choices that decay my future, I've got awareness and I can make another choice.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I have this, probably my personal motto, I have a class called this, is do it wrong, do it badly, do it anyway. Like, that's one of the things that gets me into choice faster than anything. Because if I'm willing to do it wrong, then I can choose, right? All right, I'm just going to do this really badly. But it moves me forward.
Well, I think that, it's one thing that I been going on with this pod. You know, I recorded a couple of interviews, and then I went through them, I listened through them, and there are some things there that, you know, that I say, or maybe that, oh no, I shouldn't have done it that way, or this, I could have done that better. And I think, you know, it's always there that you would like to, and that also, I realized that could be something that it could stop me. I could say, no, I'm not going to put this out because I'm not, you know, pleased with it, but maybe somebody else will be or not. So I guess it comes down to, you know, just do it. Because it's quite, no?
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, I have a school of business that's not actually a school. We just sort of pick a theme every month and we meet once a week and we have home play and I teach people things and we facilitate. It's the whole thing. But like this month's topic is cultivating online visibility. Well, the one thing that keeps people from doing videos is all the things they think are bad about them, like their voice, the way they look on video, the fact that they're not going to have anything to say. I mean, the list is long. And so, but all of these people desire to create an online business. And I'm like, you want an online business? There's things you have to invite yourself to that are going to be beyond what you've decided you can't do. And so all of these people are saying yes to engaging in that adventure. And so this week's challenge was to every day get on and do a Facebook Live in the group badly. Just badly. Just do a terrible video. Do the worst video you can possibly do. Like, you know, let it be shaky. Don't do your makeup. Don't, like, you know.
Like me right now.
Exactly.
There you go. Yeah.
And that's actually the point. And it gives you so much awareness. It gives you so much awareness. And most of what everybody's discovering is that it's way easier than they thought. They're way more brilliant than they thought. And that's always what you find out. You never find out you're more fucked up. You always find out that you are more brilliant than you even dared imagine.
Well, I get that this thing that you just said, you have this class. And also a lot of other things that you're creating. But for example, this way of meeting online, like we're chatting right now, and it's in itself is like a personal development. It's just a great way of meeting, of working, of having fun, creating, all of that. And what I also see is this kind of, you know, you come together, as you say, and you can create in groups, and you can get into, it doesn't even have to be a work thing. You can just get together and start, you know, creating videos or whatever, just to see whatever you can, because you sit there in your sofa on your own, on your, you know, up in your mountains or on your field or whatever, that can get quite boring if you're just creating on your own. So one way is, it's so easy today, isn't it, to actually meet if you dare to.
Yeah, it really is. And you don't have to let distance or anything limit you. Like, we have a lady that's playing in the group that lives on 10 acres of land in the middle of Kansas. Nobody ever comes over to her house, but she's an active part of our group. You know, there's 35 of us just going gangbusters online. And people can be, and that's just one facet of and now she's also involved in my business. So we talk all the time. So same with me, like I work from home, but like I'm talking to people all over the world all day long. And That's another facet of creating your life, is really not limiting it by anything you're choosing. Distance, location, anything. What is actually possible that I haven't considered is a great question.
And this is something that I also enjoy very much about, you know, there are no barriers. I used to work globally for, you know, over 10 years when I was traveling around the world. So maybe that kind of took down my and points of views about whatever that meant. And Cristel, she has to go. She's, you know, kind of trying to tell me this. She has a session in a few minutes. So, Cristel, what do you say? I have a very interesting topic and questions that I would like to ask you more about, but we need more time for that. So would you like to come on again and have another
I'd love to. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
That would be lovely. Okay, cool. So thank you, Cristel. So and you know, I will put all your info on the pod so people know where to find you.
Cool.
Time anywhere.
Thank you so much, Anna.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll see you later.
Bye, Cristel.
Okay, bye.
Bye.